I think it will boil down to don't be a know-it-all. Because if you know it all and it's not showing up in your life, then there's something wrong. At first, we're so know-it-all. We know that if we figured out things life, we figured out, oh, this is the right course.
Hey everyone, it's me again, Jay Christ, and welcome to another episode of the Design Life Show. In episode 58 of TDLS, I had an opportunity to sit down with Dave Visaya. Dave is a top-rated podcast producer, creative entrepreneur, and one of the hosts of the Big Picture Podcast. TBP is a podcast where they help Filipinos see, think, and act big. He's been interviewed in a couple of podcasts too before, such as Simple Wholesaling, Third World Startup, and 032.com. He is currently managing and scaling up his online businesses while doing all of this awesome stuff. In this episode, we talk about his design life stories from ground up. We talk about his struggles with life and business before and what he got to be interested in living the life to the fullest, and how he was able to turn things around. Dave also shared his best practical advice on managing your cash flows and how to live and design your life to the fullest, and a lot more. So make sure to stick around until the end, and hopefully you'll learn a lot from this episode. And to be honest, I learned so much from Dave and super pumped to share this episode. Hopefully you enjoy this as much as I do. So if you love to support the show, you can go to thedesignlifeshow.com. You can subscribe to any of your favorite podcast app, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or SoundCloud. So if you haven't already, please make sure to leave a review on Apple Podcasts or iTunes. In that way, you are helping me to reach more people. So that's it, guys. So without further ado, I hope you enjoy this episode. You're listening to The Design Life Show, a podcast that's helping everyone grow to live a meaningful and creative life. It's me, Jay Christ, a designer from the Philippines, best known for being an advocate of essentialism and optimism. I'm sitting down with awesome people to talk about their journey, their process, and the lessons they've learned along the way. Hey everyone, it's me again, Jay Christ, and welcome to another episode of TDLS. And I'm super pumped and I'm super, interested to know more about Dave Visaya. So probably you've heard the name before, and the podcast called The Big Picture Philippines. So you might heard that before, and we will talk about that as well in a few minutes. And before that, I have here Dave, one of the hosts of that podcast, and we will gonna, maybe we will probably share a lot of great tips and insights on how to make money online or how to start your podcast or whatever. It's a pre-flow podcast, so whatever comes out. So before we dive into those topics, Dave, how are you, Dave?
I'm doing great. I'm so honored to be here in the show. I mean, I've seen you doing so many wonderful podcast episodes with so awesome people out there now. So thank you, Jay Christ, for what you do. Should I call you Jay or Jay Christ?
Yeah, it's okay. Whatever. Jay, probably Jay is the easiest way.
Better.
Yeah. So yeah. Thanks, Dave. Actually, it's my pleasure to have you on the show, and I've been tuning in for a while now on the Big Picture Podcast or the Big Picture Philippines. So, just to give context in this episode, or for those who don't know Dave Visaya, can you share a little bit about your background and what are you doing right now?
Yes, so I'm actually one of those who graduated as a nurse during yung uso pa yung nursing.
Yeah.
So I'm one of those, and I'm proud. I'm proud of that. Because of that, it made me to where I am now. So everything that occurred to us in our lives are actually part of why we're here right now. So I'm currently doing. I'm basically a freelancer primarily. but I've started my own sort of outsourcing team now. I have a couple of employees, and I do a podcast as well. And what else? I'm now venturing to training, so I'm doing some trainings now. So
Mm-hmm.
mainly just improving the cash flow coming in. I'm a big fan of cash flow, so yeah, mainly increasing that.
Yeah.
But yeah, also serving more people.
Yes. Speaking of cash flow, so probably a lot of people don't know about, especially Filipinos, right?
Mm.
So can you share a little bit about how do you, plan your cash flow, like being one of the freelancer, right? So one of podcaster who do a lot of stuff on behind the scenes. So how do you handle how do you handle those situations, cash flow and life in between? Can you share a little bit
Oh
about
yes.
that?
So yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of like living life to the fullest, and to live life to the fullest, you have to at least secure or be able to figure out what financial life or literacy is all about.
Mm-hmm.
And ever since I started, like day one, with being an, I should say, entrepreneur, I was thinking of how I can like come up with this money to get the things that I want in life. So simple naman eh. You just have to like decide what you wanted and figure out things that you know how to get there, and eventually just figuring out, oh, I want this thing in my life. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's material things, but it's perhaps the freedom to do the things that you love, right? Not all of us are. If you're stuck with a 9 to 5 job, which we always say in our podcast, I mean, you don't have that much freedom to actually travel on a whim on any time you like, no. So the thing with that is I just focus on how can I make or create that life that I wanted. And cash flow, or understanding how cash comes in, how to grow it, is the best way or the key to do that. So yeah, it starts from knowing what you want. Amazingly,
Uh-huh.
no? So,
Yeah. And I think I saw I think one of your episode, you finding the why, or I think you've done a workshop for it. I guess I've seen it in the group of the Big Picture Philippines. So we will talk about that eventually.
yeah.
So just to, I'm just curious, Dave, how do you go, or from from ground up? So what's your journey? Is this an internal thing that's motivates you to do all of these things, to help people, to create stuff that that makes money eventually, that maybe add some cash flow? Can you share your journey growing up as a Filipino kid, or as an average human being?
Yeah, so I really like the title of this podcast because it's like design your life, right?
Yeah.
I think it starts from there. Like, if you want to really live the life that you want, you have to at least make a decision to design it the way you want it. And you would start with a vision. So I just got this from books. I mean, I'm not, everything that I say here, I got it from books, people I've met, mentors. So having a clear vision is what I like hold on, and that is like an internal compass that will lead me, oh, this is the right decision to do. So I was not like this before. Like, certainly I came from a low middle income family, and I'm glad that I was coming from there, because
Yeah.
it taught me a lot of things. Like, my dad was an OFW, and I was destined to be an RFW, taking up nursing, because I thought that was the only way to earn money and to live a good life. But all of a sudden, I graduated a course that I didn't really love. I mean, I like it, but I don't see myself doing it. And I just took it because there was no other. It was the hype. So that's,
Yeah.
looking back, I should,
Uh,
it's such a big decision
uh-huh.
to actually think about your future at that age. I mean, what are we thinking at that time? No, in high school,
Uh-huh.
I was thinking about Counter-Strike and Red Alert. So,
Yeah.
it's something that we should consider, because not, we can't make our decision for the rest of our lives at that time, and it's a very hard decision, and it's a big decision. So, and that's why I'm open to like it's okay to fail. I've even noticed that those batchmates that who failed or were not so good at the traditional schooling, they are actually succeeding now. It's amazing. And I
Mhm.
noticed that it's all about education, in a sense that it's not what you really get from school, but educating in the sense of practical education, where you learn how, the psychology of people, how money really works, and how understanding yourself more, that you, whatever the world may whatever the world may be, you will be good. So I started from like understanding that and learning from reading from books. So I'm a product of the Rich Dad Poor Dad book, so by Robert Kiyosaki.
Yeah.
So, and every time I pick a book, I always say this to myself: how can I incorporate some things that I could apply in my life, like right now? So what I did
Yeah.
was, when I read the book, I kind of understood what's the gist of it. So it's basically putting money on assets, or at least be on a position to earn so much so that you can put all of those to assets. And assets, I mean, those are the products that could earn more money. Or yeah, so I just followed that principle ever since. So what I did was, I didn't go on as a nurse. I took a call center job.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I love the job, but
BPO
I
days.
can't. The old days, yeah, I
Yeah.
love the job, but I can't like stick with it, because I just love sleeping.
And
I
considering
love sleeping.
it's always night shift, or somehow it's a right, it's a shifting schedule. That's hard.
Yeah, I've got so many funny stories about my call center days, and because we were selling educational for courses to the US, and I think it was like hard
Uh,
selling. But the
uh,
thing was, I was so sleepy at one time, and I actually sold a course about alchemy.
wow.
Imagine that. I was
Wow.
just like,
Cool.
and when we're reviewing it, everyone's laughing. Going, there's no such thing as alchemy. I was watching anime at that time, no.
Yeah,
But yeah,
I know alchemy. That's an anime or an
yeah,
anime
yeah, something like that.
season.
But it's basically turning something ordinary to gold. So it's
Cool.
doesn't we don't really have
Yeah.
that. It was funny. So it was I call center didn't work for me, and it didn't really, like, nursing didn't work for me. So what I did was I searched online and
Uh-huh.
discovered that there are jobs online, like you can earn money, and I was in disbelief. I didn't really like thought that could be true until I earned my first dollar, which was a writing job, which I am not a writer, but I forced myself. And yeah, the
Oh.
I had
Mhm.
a client who actually considered it as good work. So what I did was
Uh-huh.
do this simple math, like add 3 jobs, and it burnt me out. And it's an up and down journey, but eventually I just kept on that compass of really increasing what you earn and investing more on assets. And I'm not just talking about we think of assets like businesses, real estate. No, those are the big things. But I'm thinking about assets in terms of your self-education, your skills. Also, I did some investment in some cooperatives that gain momentum, help me gain momentum in letting me earn like 100,000 on a year. So that's a good start, and it got
Mhm.
me into this snowball rolling, and I was figuring out now, and I'm all over the place thinking about investing, stuff like Akude, Akudine,
Yeah.
Funko, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So big fan of TGFI, Floy.
Yeah, wow, that's really cool. And looking back at your journey and what's you are creating now, and what are you are so far, what's you've created is really awesome, right? So I'm just curious, Dave, what's what's running into your mind when you are leaving the 9 to 5 job. Sorry for 9 to 5 job. So basically, a lot of Filipinos, especially those people na have a salary every month but feel overworked, stretched too thin. And I've been there before. Before I decided to to go out and do it myself. So I'm super stressed with the works and with the traffic jam or whatever. Like that's how do you overcome those challenges, and what's running into your mind when you live, or when you jump ship from being from a corporate junkie into creative entrepreneur, so to speak.
So just a little info. No, I
Uh-huh.
only had like 6, I think, total of a year just working on a corporate, and that was a call center.
Okay.
I did voluntary work for nursing for
Uh-huh.
about 3
Cool.
months. So I didn't really have like the it took a lot of courage actually to jump ship from that. It I did it in the first 2 years after graduating. So it was really scary. But what I realized was I just had this gut feeling, everything will be okay. I mean, sometimes you have to just trust that if you that there everything would just follow through. So I had that vision. I was earning a bit of dollars at that time, and I was trying to quit already the job because I was doing
Uh-huh.
double job. So when I was in call center, I was also doing an online job, and even if the online job was not that much compared to the call center job that I had, it gave me, I mean, it made me realize that if I just get serious into this one, and even if there was no certificate, no, there was no like a real like employment. If not,
Uh-huh.
I will be going from the start. I took the risk. I just took the risk, and but I focused on what I really wanted in my life and where I'm heading. So uh yeah, so I wasn't scared just because I have this big vision of what I wanted, and eventually creating a business, start doing some trainings or doing public speaking. And I think, yeah, if I just focus on that, get some free time to do and learn all those, and eventually I'll figure it out. And yeah, I'm happy to say that I'm not saying that I figured it all out. It's not like that. I mean, still, I'm a learner. I'm a student of life. So it's I'm on the process, but the point is, like, I'm on my way. So that's what's different. So if I was stuck
Yeah.
with that job, I couldn't like do that. I can't reach the life I wanted if I was in that job. And no offense to anyone who loves their job. Actually, that's okay, because if you love it, that's all right. And some
Yeah.
people,
Mhm.
invest on the side, and that's awesome.
Yeah, 100%. And I always said this before. I always saying this as well, that be practical enough, to invest on any assets, like what Dave said. When you have a 9 to 5 job, you don't want to, just just go out there and and leave it all behind. So you have to be practical. At least you have 6 months of savings or whatever. And I'm not the best when it comes to finances, or I'm the last one you should go for about finances, because I'm not that super organized. So I all of those things I give it to my wife. So I'm thankful that I have my wife. So
You're
she's the,
lucky.
yeah, bro. So speaking of finances, can you share your formula when in terms to uh investing, and to how do you make money online, for those
Yeah.
who just getting started, or might really interested to to be you, or someone who can invest in so many ways. Can you share your formula or any steps that you might want to share for the TDLS audience?
Yeah. So the first formula I would share is that Yeah, it has to start with you. Like, no matter who you are, what you do, if you believe that you can be that someone who is able to live life to the fullest, I think that's the first step. If you don't believe that, and if you don't see yourself doing that, I mean, whatever comes in you, you'll easily fall. You're easily going to be persuaded to do this and that, or to be stuck on a job that you don't want. So first is to accept that you are bound for greatness. I mean, that's like,
Yeah.
that's very cliche,
Sure.
but that's the first step. You have
Mhm.
to have a respect of yourself that you
100%.
you can that you can. And the next step is you learn. So you learn the other. There's so many ways, and I believe that there's so many ways to earn money. It's not just online. It's not just, you can be an insurance agent and earn like over, I don't know, 300,000 a month. I don't. So there's so many things that you can do.
Wow.
Yeah. So online is a good way because we're at the perfect time to make money out of it. Like,
Mhm.
we are in the global, there's a global shift that everyone gets connected online. And me myself, I have over 30 clients now that I serve currently.
Wow.
So I started with one. So that's the thing. You start with one, and if you want to go through this route, start with one and really do the right thing with that one. So you'll gain confidence
Mhm.
through that one client. So if you just serve them, be of value to them, and they will appreciate you, and everything will follow. I started with this one client that I have now for 5 years. Yeah, or even more. So
Wow.
I just started with an
Uh-huh.
8K salary. I
Uh-huh.
mean, 1,000 monthly salary, and that's a full-time job. And they grew, and I grew with them. So eventually it doubled, then it tripled, so yeah, it goes on. But I'm still hoping that it grows and grows and grows, right? But yeah, so that's the point.
Yes.
You get to that client that respects you, that you respect as well, that you provide value, and also provide value to yourself, and continuously learn and grow. And yeah, so what happened was I discovered that I'm good. I mean, they have a need for audio editing, so this is what I'm focusing on now. I do podcast production. So, and eventually I got good at it. I love audio editing. I'm a musician before. So
What's
I
the
was a
name of the
frustrated
company, bro?
uh,
Podcast
for
engineer.
podcast engineers. Yeah.
Dot
So
com. Okay.
yeah, so that's the one. So I decided like I can help
Uh-huh.
them. And eventually other people ask, hey, can you edit my podcast? So
Wow.
another client. So I did. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
And it ring a bell. I mean, light a bulb in my head that, hey, why not cater to more
Mhm.
clients? So that's the concept now of scalability. So yeah, from the vision, or from having that concept of belief system that you can do it, then you have this one client to prove that it works, then you then scale it up. So that's basically
Mhm.
the third step. I now scaled it up. So I added more and more clients as I could. But of course, when you add more clients, you will be burnout, right? So what
Yeah.
I did was I hired a couple of people. At first, I did. It took a long while to decide that because I had no idea where to start. No, but I just hired an assistant. And yeah, and I hired an assistant to do all the tasks, some of the tasks, not all of the tasks. So those that can be delegated,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
simple tasks. So yeah, but I still do the talking to the client, all of the
Yes.
stuff.
Mhm.
So, and eventually it added more and more. And as I employ more, the clients grew more, and I'm excited to even grow more and more because there was a need, and there's a way to scale it up. So yeah, and also when you have people who works with you as a team, I don't consider them as an employee actually. I consider them as my team. We're all on this together. It gave me a lot more freedom, like more time to do the things that I love. And we come back to that vision that I had long time ago, that yeah, maybe I can start a podcast, I can do trainings, I do be a public speaker. I want my ideas to be heard. So that is why I was able to do also podcasting, which I'm doing now. And yeah, so everything somehow blends together through that. So, but it all started from that step one that I mentioned. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I think that's really valuable. You know, and like what Dave said, finding your why is, you know, you will create a lot of great progress on, you know, knowing what you want to do, knowing why you are doing those things, right? So it's really practical advice from Dave, and thank you so much, Dave, for sharing that. And for those who, you know, don't I think a lot of creatives, especially me, I'm really aware of that I'm super unorganized when it comes to finances, and can you share a little bit about, you know, financial literacy, especially
Mm.
for those creatives who don't know how to handle correctly what are their finances, what's comes in, what's comes out. Can you
Yeah.
share your formula for that?
Yeah,
Or
first thing I always say is that give away the 10% to the church or to something spiritual that you
Tithings, yeah.
expect. Yeah, that's the first law. I mean, that's the first rules. If you do that, I tell you that a lot of things will happen. It's because you are now aware of where your money comes in or money goes out. So that's like the first step that I always tell them. Just do that. Just get out the 10%, give it away. I mean, give it away in a sense that it's worth it. Like it makes you feel light. It makes you feel good. So if you're spiritual, if you're religious, go to tithes. If you're not, then maybe you can go give it away, help other people, you know, surprise someone, or maybe not necessarily those who beg on the streets. I mean, that's little value for that for me, you know. But but if it's like it's for a cause, like, you know, give it away,
Mhm.
and eventually you will realize that money is about letting it flow. It's not about like stocking it. And you know, some people like, oh, I'm gonna hoard,
Or
and
yeah,
that's actually hoarding is
yeah,
not an abundance mindset, right?
100%.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so you have to let it flow, and the more you do that, the more you'll realize, oh, I can handle my money. So that's the first step, just handling it and realizing that you can do it. And yeah, just the 10%. And most of my I got this from a podcast that I've been editing now. So there's this one show that they really focus on this, and this is basically the summary of it all. It's that you should be able to at least save. So from 10%, you grow it. So this 10%, you can now
Mhm.
increase it to make it, some of it go to your investments. So make it 20%. The bottom line is your expenses should go until you should make it smaller than what you save. So that's the rule. So let's say if you're starting now with a 10%, you're giving it away. Maybe you're saving 5%. So if you uh, if you increase the the saving, you should increase the saving from that percentage until it reaches 50%, 60%, 70%, or even 90%. I've heard some people who does like, as you increase your asset, of
Wow.
course,
Mhm.
because you're now investing more and more. Some
Mhm.
people have their expenses at 1%, right? So those are the millionaires, the billionaires, because they have so much already reinvested. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that's the goal. Do a general audit of what you have, and check out if your expenses, what percentage are they, or is that of your total income in a month, perhaps, or in a year. That depends to you. So, and make sure how much you also save, invest, whatever, for your education and all of that. You have to, like, balance it out. If you're just at 0% now with the invest savings, then you try to increase it to 10% and to
Uh-huh.
30%. The goal is to make it 100%, like everything's been reinvested, and every
Yeah.
expenses just comes from your business and all of those assets. No, so that's the goal.
Got it. So that's really valuable. And do you think, Dave, that for those who just getting started, is there any particular percentage that you have to invest? Let's say for skills, how many percentage that you can invest? Because let's face it, you need money to, to create a podcast, to create a website or whatever, just
Mm.
to keep the ball rolling, right? To just to make progress when it comes to your career or your uh your creative business. Is there anything you have in mind that back then? What's your thought about that back then?
Well, first and foremost, you have to believe that money is easy.
Uh-huh.
You just have to believe
Uh-huh.
that, and the more you do the things you love, the more it will come to you. So, but the second thing is, as I mentioned, there was the 10%, right? Now, if you go beyond that, you can add another 10%. So it's a total of 20% that you like set aside. So 10% for investment. Any investment that you like. It could be on your skills. If you're still starting out, I suggest you start with skills. I mean, I started that. It's not a mistake because it started a habit. But I started investing 10% of my income. Like it's just like before it was like 1,000 or even less than that to stock market. And I was after 5 years, I thought I'm gonna be a millionaire in stock market, but no. You have to also consider increasing your income, right? So, and I teach this in my training actually, how to get a high paid skill that will help you earn more. Because if you don't have that skill, then so there are some things that you want to focus on first if you want to grow. And I know you know this because you're a very talented person. No?
100% high paying skills. I got that from I think Dan Locke.
Oh yeah.
You heard that guy from YouTube. That's really a cool leader and a thought leader as well. And when it comes to business and money and hard work, it's like he's just packing the money. He has a book called F You Money. So if you heard that, if F You Money, which means fuck you money, right? So it's allowed here. So sorry for those. You can check that out. It's and it's a cool cover as well because the money, the form of the money or the coins is look like the middle finger is it's rising. Something like that. So for those who interested, you might check that out. Dan Locke, F You Money book, and I think there's a free PDF on his website as well. So that's it. Anyway, let's go back, Dave, in your journey. So you talk about the podcast, and I think a lot of I think it's slowly picking up. If you agree, right? Here in the Philippines, it's not a new technology though, because you have a lot of clients on the internationally, right? So, but here in the Philippines, I think 1% or somehow 2% of people here are listening to the podcast. Is there anything that you would like, any insights for those aspiring podcaster? How they can create, or what's your hidden formula for them to just start and get started on designing their life, on designing their business? What's your take on that?
Yeah, so a little backstory about podcasting.
Yeah.
So actually, one guy asked me personally that why are you doing podcasting? How are you earning from it? And I was like, I look at him and I told him that, you know what, I'm not earning anything from it, and I don't really care if I earn anything from it. So it's more of like my giving back. That's actually the truth. I started this podcast, or at least thought of this podcast with Joseph, of course, is because I really want to live in a world where people help each other. We help each other become better versions of ourselves, and I believe the big picture, or the podcast in itself, that's the mission of it. And it's nice to start from that, because if you don't have that higher what do you call this, costs, or a higher purpose of the things that you do, especially with this media, where for let's be honest, it's not gonna make us money at all if for now, right? So I don't know about the Design Live show. I think you're getting sponsors now because you're pretty famous. But for us, I mean, primarily that's what holds us currently and continuously sharing episodes. It's because our passion is about helping others see that they can also do it, see the big picture, that Filipinos are they are destined for greatness. They are able to learn. If they just open their mind, see the big picture, they'll be able to like also become a great person or a successful entrepreneur. So that's where it's coming from. But here's the thing, no, with this specific show is that we're able to rub shoulders to shoulder. I mean, this interview is online with Jay, but with ours, we do it as much as possible. We meet the person, like we get them in the room, and that's magic there. Like if you were able to just see that person, and actually just you try it out also, Jay. If you meet that person, there's this aura, there's this energy that you just, it touches you. 100%. And it's amazing. It gave us a lot of results in my life personally, my relationships. It improved a lot just by meeting those people, meeting millionaires, even billionaires. We've interviewed one who has like the biggest food chain here in the Visayas. So awesome. So just being that. So that's the value. I mean, if you're in it for money, if you're in it for fame, we're not here to be famous. Actually, we're letting people we're letting people shine because we believe that others need that inspiration. So that's the thing with podcasting.
100%. So we are, on podcasting space. I think one of the key terms that you should know is, you have to lift others, to succeed or to create progress in terms of career or business, and it's a win-win situation. You'll guess a really interesting guy that that has a lot of great value, not only for the community but for you as well, because you will learning and experience what he experienced on knowing what's the story behind those things, those great ideas, like what Dave said. And that's really interesting, and that's one of the things then that I find interesting when it comes to podcasting. And a lot of people think na, oh, you're doing a podcast, feeling ko feeling nila marami ng money comes in. No, that's not the case. You should.
But we're hoping. We're hoping.
Hopefully soon, right? So like we've said, I think there's 1% that are listening here in the Philippines. That's basically it's too little, right? So I think if we grow more and create more value with each other, that's the key, right? So so Dave, for those great things that you made and great things that you are making, and I think you've done a great job and cool works as well, and you are I think I'm one of the fan as well of TVP, the big picture, and I'm hoping as well that can you share the tagline of TVP? I'm hoping that you can do the intro here. So actually, I should do this first thing, right? So in the intro, but I forgot to ask it. Can you do that?
Yeah, you mean
So your intro.
So it's basically welcome to the Big Picture Philippines, where we help you see, think, and act big. So. Yeah,
that's it. And the history began.
So ever since I've attended some trainings, like way back 2011, I decided to like have this like an entrepreneur.com blog site. So I purchased a URL actually. So that's called TheBigPicture.ph. I just purchased it for the longest while without using it. And eventually, I started to do a podcast editing for other clients, and I realized, hey, why not start a podcast? that was the birth of it. So we just had the old brand that I had before, and found a co-host who would help me. Joseph. And actually, he was the one who, if I would give all credit to Joseph, because he was the one who really pushed me pushed ourselves basically to do this. And we did the first episode. We enjoyed it. We went to the second and third and fourth, and
Yeah.
and we're now at the 50th episode. We just recorded, but yeah, we're behind the Design Life because Design Life really has the commitment and discipline, right?
Yeah.
It's awesome.
No, you're doing good as well, and hopefully Joseph will do a podcast interview as well for me soon, guys. For those who are listening, you will see or hear the journey as well of Joseph, the co-host of Dave. So yeah, thank you so much, Dave, for sharing all of that, your journey. And I'm just wondering, I think you're handling people, you're doing business behind the curtain, and on creating value, while creating value, right? You're doing business and behind the curtain. So what's your best productivity tips for those, I think a lot of people, right? So even me at first, I procrastinate a lot, right? So do you have any productivity tips for them, just to start their ideas, their big ideas, and act on their ideas?
I'm guilty. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm the worst person to ask this because I have no productivity hack or anything. But I can share. I can share a few actually.
Sure. No.
What worked for me is that, I mean, you have to accept that some of us get lazy, some of us procrastinate, and that's
100%.
normal. Actually, if you're beating yourself for that, sometimes that's the one that causes you to be depressed or go down because you think that, oh, I'm such a procrastinator.
Yeah.
Labeling yourself that first will cause the issue. So I avoid to call myself that. I try, but the thing that works really is to mainly is to get a team. I mean, I get an assistant perhaps, or someone who will motivate you. Actually, my assistant is the one is the really, they do it on a they do on a regular thing, so they're able to do the task that I can't. So if you read the book E-Myth by Michael Gerber, so he said that there are three types of people. Like there's the visionary, there's this manager, and there's this groundworks who does the working. Like that's what he enjoys, and that some of us fall under one of that category. So I'm more of a visionary, and that's natural for a visionary or creative, if I should say. That's more of that we tend to be like, we are more of thinking, imagining things, how it works.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to action, when it comes to implementation, we need someone, or we need support from people. And that's my secret. It's that I'm open to asking help from people because I can't do it on my own. And I have to be honest, like everything that I have now, everything, I mean, I don't have that much, but what I have currently now, it's because of all the people that's around me, their energy, even like, if they're good at energy, eventually you'll also feel the energy and you'll all be pumped to do the day. So yeah, I think that's first for me. It's just, if your weakness is being a procrastinator, you're not productive, then find a way around it. I mean, accept that weakness. We all have weaknesses. So yeah, accept that and figure out a way around it.
Yeah, go figure. Absolutely. I love that you mentioned how you leverage your time, right? So it's really valuable for those people na hindi pa nila alam yung concept behind, or behind billionaires, behind millionaires, right? So it's basically just they find a way to leverage their time, or find a way to buy another time for them to focus more on the business side or on the visionary side of things, right? So it's really great, Dave. So thank you so much for sharing that. So let's go back on your personal life. So just to give a little bit about your background, and how do you what's your typical day as a creative entrepreneur, as a business owner? Can you share your typical day? What time do you wake up until what time do you turn off all the lights?
All right. So yeah, I set my alarm. I want to, I always see the ideal version of myself. So I set the alarm at 5 a.m. Sometimes I don't hit it. But usually I do. Like I wake up 5 a.m. If I don't hit it, I just wake up. Yeah, latest I can wake up is around 7, and because I have to like
Mm-hmm.
do the work and people are coming in, so I have to also be there. But first and foremost, yeah, wake up by 5 a.m. I try to. Uh, I'm not as a freelancer, as someone who works at home. Basically, health is really a priority because you are gonna sit the whole day. So what I do is I try to walk or jog. If yes, here's the motivation thing about that. If it's I sometimes don't do that consistently, but the thing is I try my best to get out, do a walk, do a jog, and listen to a podcast or Audible or just music to pump it up. If I don't feel like it's sometimes learning could like feels boring or it's not exciting. So I try to listen to music that pumps me up. I love music, so I walk or jog
Mm-hmm.
for a few kilometers, and after that, right now I'm practicing this declaration thing that I learned, and some of my mentors actually are doing it. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that works,
Yeah.
and I just
Can you
I'm
share
just
that?
grateful each day. Yeah. So
Or can you?
declarations, you just say some things that you want your life to become. Like you say, I'm amazing, or just say it
Got
to
it.
yourself. Put your hand over your chest, or in a mirror perhaps. But I'm not so detailed about it. As
Uh-huh.
long as I
Sure.
just think about it when I go to, like, when this day starts, I'll just think about like the things that I'm grateful for, the things that I'm proud of, and the things that I want to become. So let's say I'm gonna be awesome today, or I'm an amazing person, or I'm gonna be a public speaker, a great speaker, stuff like that. So
Got it.
yeah, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I did follow that. I have a notebook before, I write
Uh-huh.
gratitude, so that works. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it became a habit now that I'm just thankful all the time. I start the day with smile, and just be happy about life. And if you meet me personally, and people around me, I'm always the like always smiling, as if
Yeah.
I'm not serious at all. That's
Yeah.
usually the case because it's the internal condition that I just want to enjoy life.
Yes.
It's not that harsh.
I think that's really great. Start your day with a smile. That's really a great advice for those who get burden on the Mondays or whatever they have to deal with, right? So start
I
with a
love
smile.
Mondays.
Yeah,
Love Mondays. That's the
we
thing.
should
I
love
hate
Mondays.
Sundays. I hate Sundays
Yeah.
because it's gonna be Monday. But when Monday starts, I love Monday. It's like,
Oh,
oh, I'm
got
gonna
it.
crush this week. Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes, yes. That's it. So, if you're talking to Dave right now, so I'm talking to Dave remotely, obviously, but I feel the vibe, the good vibes. The high, the positive energy. I think that's one of the things that you should have in mind, or have a friend who will uplift your soul or uplift your human being, right? So even though there's a lot of rabbit holes out there, or we tend to get burdened or cut off with a lot of things. I think that's really valuable to smile and be positive in every
yeah.
situation, like what Dave said. So that's pretty
Life is too
awesome.
short. Life is
Yeah.
too short to be sad.
Yes. Yeah, sure. So, Dave, before we wrap up the show, so I have two more questions, if you let me. Right. So, I've been enjoying this episode, and probably we will go deep more if you like. But
Yeah,
I know
sure.
you have things to do. So, before we wrap up the show, if you go back, if you look back on your journey, if is there anything that you can advise to your younger self? So I know it's cliche, but honestly, the journey for me is the best thing, or very valuable for those entrepreneurs that just are getting started. I think there's things that they should learn along the journey than achievement, or seeing the achievement of others, right? So if you look back, Dave, what's your best practical advice for your younger self?
Yeah, I think it will boil down to don't be a know-it-all, because if you know it all and it's
Mhm.
not showing up in your life, then there's something wrong. So at first, we're so know it all. We know that if we figured out things life, we figured out, oh, this is the right course. oh, this is going to be the right job, or this is going to be the right stuff that I'm doing. And we sometimes close ourselves with what is actually happening in the real world. And that happens with like any business actually as well. Yeah, if you, oh, this is going to be the best product, this is going to be the best business, and all of a sudden when you put it on the market, there's nobody's going to buy it or
100%.
nobody's going to take it, right? Because you were so consumed with your own thoughts. Yeah, in love with your own thoughts. So that's the one thing, because it took me a while to accept the fact that I need mentors, that I need books, that I need to be more open. Seminars, I'm a fan of it. I spend like I'm going to Tony Robbins actually this September.
Wow.
I'm gonna
I'm
pay
still
like
I'm still listening to his cheesy tapes or yeah, Tony Robbins are really great. Wow.
so Unleash the Power Within. That's gonna be on September something. So I bought the tickets already, early bird. So I invest in myself. I invest in myself, and it's getting bigger as you grow. And amazingly, if you're just a learner, I always believe that if you're not growing, you're decaying. So if you stop learning, you're gonna go low and low and low. So yeah, so that's the thing that I would advise to anyone actually, that if you think that if everything around you is not working, or it seems like you're not achieving the things that you like, maybe you are playing it like everything. Like, be humble enough, realize that if the results are not yet showing up, then there's something wrong along the process. So be open to change, be open to learning, be open for advice. Of course, listen to those who already made it or had the results, not to those who are you're also the rabbit hole that you mentioned earlier. Sometimes we ask advice from them, and at the end of the day, we feel a lot more down. so focus on those people who make things work, make their life work 100%. So focus on those people.
Super valuable. Thanks, Dave, for sharing that. And actually, there's a lot of good thoughts that I wanna highlight on that part. So that what Dave said. So I think what you call this? There are people that are not really interested on shared what their weaknesses, or be vulnerable about their works, or what are they are creating. I think what Dave said is really valuable, and from my perspective, I call it vulnerability. You have to be vulnerable with your work. You have to be open with your weaknesses, and somehow you will figure out how you can leverage that failure or that learning into your business, into your side hustle, or whatever you are doing on creative space, right? So it's really valuable, Dave. So thank you so much. So we will jump ship from the last questions that I have. So 1 year from now, so we are recording it April 10, right? So 1 year from now, so what's your vision for yourself, for your business? Can you share that to TDLS audience?
Yeah, so with my business now, the online, like an outsourcing team for podcasts, I wanna grow it to production, like a digital marketing agency. So I wanna go to that level and also I wanna like separate myself in a way that it works without me 80% already, not like 50% right now or 70%, because if the more free time I get, the more I can be creative with that time that I have and be able to focus on growing. And actually that's a good thing, because I'm able to like grow the business along the way. So more time is more valuable. Time is always more valuable. So, and also I'm doing the training stuff. I want to like the big picture trainings that we're doing, the events that we're doing. I want to cater more programs, more topics. The financial literacy was the first one, but I'm thinking of having more, like 6 more programs involving about online business, grow your money, and also like how to really manage your life, coaching and stuff like that. So I see myself like traveling the world, not the world, the Philippines. Hopefully the world soon.
Yeah, soon.
Traveling the Philippines, Manila, Davao, Dumaguete, Visayas, places that I want to and
You
touch
should go
people's
to
lives.
Cavite too. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll visit you, bro.
Yeah,
So,
sure.
yeah, and so my mission is I wanna make more Filipinos who are happy, who are, if I should say, millionaires. I want to make everyone a millionaire if that's possible. So that's the point. That's the point. That's the vision.
Wow. Yeah, that's really cool, and I think that's I'm looking forward to that, and I'm still I will try my best to help you out if you need help, right? So I think a lot of there's a lot of Filipinos that are really need to educate themselves. Although somehow they have a basic education, but it's far behind when you apply it in experience, right? In the field,
Yeah.
right? So
And
like
these
what?
concepts are very basic,
Yeah,
basic concepts. It's just like it's either they don't know it or they don't apply it. So yeah, so that's that's my mission to like.
100%. That's really cool, Dave. So once again, thank you so much for dropping by on the podcast. To carve some time to be on the podcast. I know you're doing a lot of stuff behind the curtain, right? So I'm super thankful to have you on the show. So shout out to Joseph. Hopefully we will talk soon, bro. So thank you so much. Probably we will what you call this? We will talk about fatherhood or some dad life. Yeah, offline we're chatting about that. Yeah.
Hopefully that bod.
Yeah. So I'm thinking as well to change the design live show to be the dad live show. So
Wow.
no,
Really?
just
Are you
kidding.
serious?
Yeah, just kidding, bro.
April Fools.
So yeah, thank you so much again, Dave. And for those who just just heard of you, and for those who might be interested with your works, with your workshop on other financial literacy things that you are doing, what's your best links for them to reach out?
Yeah, so first and foremost, we have a podcast, right? And we basically talk about that, more of entrepreneurial, living life to the fullest, and being creative. So it's you can find us at TheBigPicture.ph, but we're also on the podcast channels like iTunes, Spotify, and yeah, we're on Facebook. That's facebook.com/TheBigPicture. Now for my the online digital stuff that I've been doing, like the businesses. So I have like carviontech.com. That's like that's CarveonTech.com. That's for the digital, that's gonna be like the digital marketing that I'm building soon, right? So I'm on the process working it, but we're doing web design, web development for that. I have a team as well, and of course the podcastengineers.com, which is under that brand basically. So yeah, and if you want to connect with me. I think I'm not. I tend to avoid Facebook. So personally, you can. I have Instagram that I try to post their updates. I'm more active on Instagram. That's and my handle is MIYOY Mioy. So you can follow me there. Instagram.com/Mioy. So that's it.
Yeah, that's it. So for those who are listening, I will put all the links on our show notes below. So probably if you're listening to Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or even on SoundCloud, so just scroll down and you will surely see the links that Dave has mentioned in this episode, and a lot of cool stuff. Maybe some highlights for the book that Dave mentioned as well, right? So for those who are listening, just scroll down and you will see all the links, and you can go to thedesignlifeshow.com for all of the episode, like this great episode. There's a lot of great episode in TDLS, although don't listen to me because I'm struggling with English. So I have I have a 6th grade English. So yeah, I there's a lot of cool guests on the podcast. So thank you so much, Dave, once again to drop by in this podcast episode, and talk to you soon. And I'm looking forward to see more of the works you do for the Filipinos, especially in the financial literacy space. Thanks, man.
Yeah. You're welcome. You have a good day.
And that's it. Thank you so much for listening to the Design Life Show. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. If you want to support the show, you can do so on Patreon. Head over to patreon.com/TDLS or go to thedesignlifeshow.com. And you can find the donate button on the top to learn more on how you can support the show. And for some cool extra stuff, you can get an access to my private contents like AMAs, where I take questions exclusively from Patreon subscribers, or check out other stuff I made where I talk about essentialism, design, creativity, and business. I give a lot of value into this podcast that can't be seen anywhere else online. Again, that's patreon.com/TDLS. Thanks for listening to the show, and talk to you guys again next week.